Your Excellency, our next speaker is His Excellency Dr. Lazarus Dokora, Minister of Primary and Secondary Education of Zimbabwe. Your Excellency, you have the floor.
The President of the General Conference, the Chairperson of the Executive Board, the Director General, Your Excellencies and delegates. Mr. President, my delegation congratulates you on your election and recognizes the sterling work done by your predecessor, Professor Hao Ping. Your election is historic and is significant in that you are the first president from the Southern Africa sub-region, and this is a cause for celebration. Mr. President and the Director General, you can count on my government's full support as you execute your onerous responsibilities. The 37th General Conference highlighted the fact that the Millennium Development Goals were an unfinished business. A call was made to complete that business and to transcend those challenges. Thanks to the collective efforts of member states and the Secretariat under the able leadership of the Director General, there have been significant achievements. These are reflected in the UN Summit document, Transforming Our World, the 2030 Agenda for Global Action, adopted at the Summit of Heads of State and Government in September 2015. Director General, through your efforts, SDG 4 has already been transformed into a framework of action, which was adopted yesterday by the Education 2030 High-Level Meeting. Zimbabwe would like to acknowledge the efforts by the UNESCO Regional Office for Southern Africa in coordinating the development of the regional and national frameworks of action for Education 2030. Mr. President, member states and UNESCO must effectively mobilize resources for the successful implementation of the national and regional frameworks. Zimbabwe has made significant progress from 2000 to 2015 in promoting education for all. Madam Director General, at the commencement of the current biennium, Zimbabwe had a mere 90,000 learners at the early childhood development level. ECD has been expanded to 451,000 currently and mainstreamed in all primary schools as part of the infant school module, which now stands at 1.2 million. Of the required teachers, 11,000 of them by 2017, 3,960 teachers have so far been delivered for the infant school level. Access to primary education throughout the country has been achieved through the establishment of over 1,400 satellite schools in new resettlement and remote rural villages. From infant to high school, the total enrollment is 4.1 million learners. The gender parity index stands at 0.98. There is steady improvement in completion rates at primary and secondary levels, which stand at 77% and 65% respectively. Zimbabwe recently completed the development of a science and skills-oriented curriculum for basic education, which emphasizes technical and vocational education and training, ICTs and science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and arts. Issues of equity will receive added focus in the period 2016 to 2030. Zimbabwe's literacy rate stands at 92.4% and is currently the highest in Africa and a greater part of the developing world. At the tertiary level, females outnumber males at teachers' colleges, constituting 74% of the enrollment. However, at the polytechnics and universities, female enrollment stands at 40%. Mr. President, we have put in place strategies to increase the participation of women in the STEAM. On average, we only have 28.5% women teachers for science and mathematics in the current establishment. Our focus in the next 15 years is to improve quality learning outcomes through teacher capacity development, the provision of housing for teachers, the use of ICTs, and other emerging technologies. To this end, the government of Zimbabwe greatly appreciates the inclusion of Zimbabwe in the UNESCO Korean Funds and Trust for rolling out ICTs in education. The Sustainable Development Goals have embraced science, technology, and innovation, which resonates well with Zimbabwe's national aspirations to build capacities in science and engineering. as contained in its own blueprint, Zimbabwe Agenda for Socio-Economic Transformation. Zimbabwe was honored to host the second edition of the UNESCO Africa Engineering Week under the theme Engineering Innovation for Accelerated Infrastructure Development for Africa. In line with the aspirations of Africa stated in the AU Agenda 2063, Zimbabwe seeks to eradicate poverty through promoting well-educated and skilled citizens. Both our national constitution and the economic blueprint set the tone for social transformation and promotion of an inclusive society based on fundamental human rights. Mr. President, support is needed in the area of scientific research, which can contribute to the development of modern infrastructure and modern agriculture for increased production. Since communication transcends all areas of UNESCO's areas of competence, there is need for collaboration with education, science, and culture. Mr. President, as host of the UNESCO Regional Office for Southern Africa, my government will spare no effort to support the office so it can deliver on its mandate. Mr. President, I take this opportunity to assure you that you will not walk alone in the journey you have started. Thank you.